Hey guys, Tara here for Rev3 Games, and in case you haven't noticed, July is Borderlands month here at Rev3 Games. Last week we did a video on Athena the Gladiator, and this week we're going to be talking about the character Wilhelm the Enforcer. Now if you played Borderlands 2, then you should be familiar with him already. He is the half-human, half-robot engineer. He's one of the bosses in Borderlands 2 that you fight. But in the pre-sequel, you actually get to go back in time to when he was completely human, and you get to witness the events that led up to him becoming more than human. As far as gameplay goes, he is kind of the support character of the group. I think the best comparison you could make for him would be something like Axton from Borderlands 2, although personally I feel like Wilhelm has a far more interesting skill tree. What's especially cool about him is that as you level him up, he has certain cyborg augmentation skills, and when you enact those skills, he starts to take on his robotic form, and you can actually see the physical changes that happen as he learns those skills. And he's the only character in the game who does that, so that's really cool. His action skill is called Wolf and Saint, and it basically calls in two drones, a wolf and a saint. The wolf one is kind of the more offensive drone. It'll roam around and attack enemies for you. And then Saint will stick by your side and regenerate your health. He also has a protective shield. Let's take a look at the skill tree. A lot of these are focused on just buffing your drones and increasing your gun damage. There are 4 skills that are specifically good for co-op, and I know you guys probably don't want to hear a big long list of every single skill, so instead I'm just going to pick and choose a few ones from each tree that I think are the coolest, starting with the Hunter-Killer tree. This is more of an offensive tree. It's mostly focused on improving the wolf drone. It's got basic skills like all of them that increase damage, fire rate, etc. for you and wolf. And then there are also a handful of specific wolf abilities like venom bolts, which is really cool. This gives wolf the ability to shoot venom bolts that deal corrosive damage to enemies. It also gives you a slightly higher chance of inflicting corrosive damage with all guns and grenades. Right next to that is another really interesting skill called laser guided. Basically, whenever you zero in on an enemy with your reticle, Saint will paint that enemy, and it increases the damage that they take, and it also causes Wolf to focus his attacks there. If a target gets killed while they're painted, it increases the duration of your action skill. And then the last skill in this tree is called Omega Strike. This is another Wolf ability, and it allows Wolf to periodically launch a deadly missile strike against targets. Simple skill, a lot of payoff. It also looks really cool. The next tree is called the Cyber Commando tree. This is actually what I played when I went hands-on with it. This is the tree that contains all 3 of those cyborg augmentation skills I was mentioning. And it also happens to be the coolest skills in this tree. So I'm just going to talk about those because they're the coolest. The first one is Power Fist. This is an arm augmentation, and it basically alters your melee skills. So instead of just punching a guy, you perform an explosive punch, and you can do it from an extended range. It does have a short cooldown period associated with it, so keep that in mind. The other augmentation is the leg augmentation. This is a skill called Shock Absorbers, and it allows you to shoot while sprinting, which is a skill that I've wanted from Borderlands for so long. And if you shoot while sprinting, you also get bonus gun damage with no penalties whatsoever to your accuracy. The last augmentation is called Vengeance Cannon. This is actually a weapon augmentation, so whenever your shield gets completely depleted, you activate this thing called Vengeance Cannon, and it fires incendiary laser blasts in tandem with whatever weapon you have equipped. And this lasts for 12 seconds. There is no cooldown period, but your shield does have to fully recharge in order for you to use it again. Still awesome and really cool to see in action. The last skill tree is called Dreadnought. This is focused mainly on buffing your Saint drone, so a lot of skills related to health regen and stuff like that. This is also the tree that has all 4 of those co-op skills that I mentioned previously. The first skill in this tree that I think is really, really cool is something called Termination Protocols. This replaces Fight for Your Life with Termination Protocols. So instead of going through the whole Fight for Your Life thing, you walk at a reduced speed and then you fire your weapons and you constantly shock any enemies that are around you. So it's kind of similar to Fight for Your Life in that if you kill an enemy while you're doing this, you get revived. But if the timer runs out and you die, you also release a nuclear explosion right beforehand that deals a metric shit ton of damage to any nearby enemies. Really awesome. Further down the list is a skill called 0 Hour. This is a Saint ability. So when your Saint either expires or you call him back to you, what happens is he explodes, and then he deploys a healing zone on the ground all around you, and you and your friends, as long as you are in that zone, will be able to regenerate health. Very cool, also a really good co-op skill. And then at the very bottom of this list is Overcharge. This is another Saint ability, and this allows Saint to release an energy wave immediately after being summoned that grants you and any nearby friends significantly increased stats. So you get increased movement speed, increased fire rate, increased reload speed, and increased ammo regeneration for 10 seconds. This is probably the best co-op skill in his entire tree, possibly even in the game. But even if you're playing solo, it's still extremely valuable because you're going to be deploying your drones constantly, pretty much. So any help you can get is appreciated, and it makes you super, super powerful. So by virtue of Wilhelm's skills, I actually prefer him a little bit better to Athena. I'm not typically a huge fan of support characters because I feel like most of the time all you do is just deploy a turret or a drone and then maybe sit back and pick off a few enemies. But I feel like Wilhelm's character is a little bit more hands-on than most support characters. His skill trees seem to have a better balance between buffing his support drones and improving his own skills. So he's really powerful in both offensive and defensive. We'll see how that works out in the final version of the game, but I am really excited. I think I'm more excited about him than I was for Athena. And then of course, remember next week, we're gonna have a video on Nisha the Lawbringer. And then the full game is coming out October 14th in North America, October 17th everywhere else. I could not be more excited for this. We are gonna have a video, as I mentioned, on Nisha the Lawbringer next week, and she's got another really interesting set of skills. So as always, if you guys have questions about this character or any of the other characters, we haven't seen all of them yet, but we will have more info for you. Just leave your questions in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.